Secretary General, that is Ford Kenya, Dr. Seli Simiyu, on the goings-on within the party and why they made proposals that they did to oust party leader Moses Wetangula as well as the National Organizing Secretary. I earlier spoke to Moses Wetangula, the party leader, on what he thinks about this latest developments within the party. Let's take a look at that conversation now. Thank you for granting us this interview, Moses Wetangula. A lot of questions in the minds of many from what we've seen today, press conferences after press conferences on the status of the Ford Kenya party leader. From where you sit currently, who is the bona fide party leader of Ford Kenya?
Our party has no contest as to who is the party leader. The party leader is yours truly, the senator for Bungoma, Senator Moses Wetangula, elected duly by an NDC. And under our party constitution, only the NDC, National Delegates Congress, can change leaders and put in others. And we have gone through grassroots elections. We are waiting for COVID lockdown to open, and then we go to another NDC so that we can be able to elect new office bearers for the country.
So then what do you make of the actions that we've seen today? They say they have overthrown you, quote unquote, as a party leader of Ford Kenya through a special NEC meeting. What do you make of that?
First of all, there's no provision for coups in parties. Our party constitution is very clear. The only legitimate change of leadership is through elections. And I've told you at what time elections are held. Number two, it is not NEC members as such. It is a mischief being done by 3 people from Bungoma County. The MP for Kandui, Wafula Omunyinyi, the Secretary General of the party, who has now been suspended, and we have put in an acting Secretary General, Dr. Seli Simiyu, and the Governor of Bungoma. And he's actually the principal financier of this mischief because he's running away from oversight. He's running away from accountability. He's not managed the resources of the county well, and questions are being asked every day by everybody in Bungoma, including Mama Mboga, where are the billions of shillings that come to this county?
But then earlier on in your press briefing, you seemingly alluded to the fact that there are other powerful forces behind what is happening inside Ford Kenya. Who are these powerful forces?
It is not rocket science to see. As the Bible says, Jesus said, even the blind can see that what is going on is definitely being instigated to destabilize parties. Musalia's ANC party has been having some destabilizing efforts from external actors. We know for sure in the last 2-3 weeks, you've seen visitations to leaders of other parties by the same gentleman. You've seen the other day, our members didn't go to Kajiado for the famed lunch, and these 3 were there. And I know for a fact that when they were at Kajiado, a fundraising was conducted, and money was put in addition to the money that has been fiddled in my county to boost the kitty that will then be used to play the mischief. So the external hand is there, and we know these hands. We know on whose body these hands are, and we know what they are up to.
But for the sake of our audience, who are these people? For those who can't see, as you mentioned.
Yes, no, I'm sure everybody can see, everybody can tell. You know who hosted the Kajiado luncheon, and you know which offices these gentlemen have been visiting. I don't want to drop names here.
But from Kajiado and from the statements that came there, this coming barely 3 days since the Kajiado meeting, do you think this was planned in that particular meeting?
It was a continuation of an evil scheme that has been simmering for a little while, because I also get to be told what people hide and plan. I called him and said, David, what is this I'm hearing? As my Secretary General, you need to keep me abreast with what's going on. He pretended he didn't know anything. In fact, he said, all these messages you are seeing on social media are products of of wicked people. And now I can tell who is wicked.
The other day, we also saw members of your party being de-whipped in Parliament, from leadership, from committees. The biggest accusation is that they're supporting Deputy President William Ruto. Do you support Deputy President William Ruto, and do you think this is the reason for your wars?
How do I support Deputy President William Ruto, who is a presidential candidate like myself? I am a presidential candidate. I'm looking for the leadership of this country. We are not in the same party. I have a party that has given me the mandate to look for leadership of this country on its behalf. How on earth, in my right senses, would I go to support somebody in a different party?
Is Ford Kenya working with the Deputy President?
Not at all. In what way would we work with him? The Deputy President is the Deputy Party Leader of Jubilee Party, which is led by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And you know very well, our history is very clear. If Ford Kenya wants to work with any other party, the engagement must be structured.
So then why do you think that purge affected a number of members from Ford Kenya? If
it did affect Ford Kenya and ANC and other members.
Yes.
So I will only speak for my party.
Your members, yes.
I said that what was done was unlawful, was unprocedural, was irregular. To begin with, parties, when they come together, they form a coalition as a coalition of the willing. Any positions that our members hold in the coalition, they hold because we have nominated and recommended them as such.
We've seen them attend a number of meetings. From the Kajiado meeting, we are aware that they met
Yes.
ODM leader Raila Odinga. Insiders say they might have also met President Kenyatta. This is a season of alignments and realignments, and it would appear your party members are looking for a way out. Hence, perhaps do you think why this is the reason why you're being accused of not putting the party together? Because people want a way out, people want to be identified by a certain side, but we're not seeing Ford Kenya do that.
We are a side of our own. We are a party. We are a party. Parties are formed to look for power. So we will be betraying our founding fathers, Masinde Muliro, Kenneth Matiba, Martin Shikuku, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, if our intention is just to be part of alliances. That's number one. Number two, I have no evidence whatsoever that these people have met the president. I also have a relationship with the president. I talk to him. We have been in cabinet previously before he became a president. I have no evidence that he has got any negativity towards me, and I don't want to drag him into this. But there are pictorials that show that Minister Eugene Wamalwa, Selis Miyu, and Wafula Munyinyi visited the former Prime Minister at his office. Whatever they discussed, I think they have been economical with the truth, but that they were there in the manner they did is not a coincidence, because a very close friend of mine, a governor who attended the meeting, told me that a fundraising was conducted and a couple of million shillings were put together to boost the kit that they had. I can tell you for a fact that they put a lot of pressure on my deputy, Richard Momoe Maonyonga, to participate in the illegality that they were trying to do. And he flatly told them off. And he told them he believes in the rule of law, he believed in illegalities, and he left and switched off his phone. He told me, and I have no doubt, because Momoe Maonyonga has been my assistant minister and my friend, and I was in parliament with his father, and we work very closely. He told me he was even offered money to accept to participate in this illegality.
So why didn't you attend the Kajiado meeting? A number of Luya leaders were present.
Yes.
Were you invited to the meeting?
There are also other non-loyal leaders there too. And I am not in the habit of going to any place uninvited.
So you were not invited to that meeting?
And you saw very clearly what the host said, that Musalia and Weta are not part of the handshake, so they have nothing to do with this. I didn't even know that the lunch he was holding was because of the handshake. I thought he was calling people from the Mlembe Nation to brainstorm on something, because all those people he was hosting were not part of the handshake either.
Speaking from that, insiders also accuse you of double dealing. working with the handshake side, as well as Deputy President William Ruto. Talk to us about those feelings and concerns from
I don't even know where that comes from, because if I'm sure you can find William Ruto and talk to him and ask him when he last saw me or sat with me or talked to me. All lies. The people who are saying these things are probably the ones who engage in what they are accusing others. You know, there is a common saying that a thief thinks everybody else is a thief. And that's probably what they're trying to perfect.
From where you sit, do you think it's time to wrap up NASA as a coalition?
NASA as a coalition, in legal terms, has a sunset clause. It ends or determines at the end of the current 12th Parliament. So you don't have to kill something with a predetermined death. It will automatically die at the end of the 12th Parliament.
What if there are those who want it to die sooner?
But there are people who have already hit so many nails in the coffin of NASA that it is, so to speak, on life support machine. NASA is there because it's a legal entity and nobody has legally dissolved it. But you have seen those who benefit from the trappings of NASA interests. When it suits them, NASA is dead. When it doesn't, NASA is there. When they were removing our members from committees, they said it was NASA. In the same breath, they said NASA died a long time ago.
So what direction will the party take? Are you looking to sign any coalition pacts or agreements with any other party, Jubilee Party perhaps?
You know, there is a very serious talk going on about signing agreements with the government, with Jubilee Party. In law, and you know, I'm a senior lawyer in this country, you cannot, as a party, belong to two coalitions. We already belong to a coalition. As a party, we have already made pronouncements and minuted in our organs that we support the president. We support his efforts in uniting the country. We support his efforts in reforming the political structures of the country so that there's greater inclusivity going to the future. We have already pronounced that.
So you don't see this happen? You don't see Ford Kenya working with the Jubilee Party?
But I've said, we already have said, we support the president. If we support the president, we'll vote for his agenda in Parliament. That I've told my members. We will support his agenda by supporting it in our public pronouncements. We have been doing so. If it came to a level where there is some engagement that is to be official, then it can only be a cooperation, not a coalition. Because you can't belong to two coalitions.
So it's a possibility?
You can never say never in politics.
And we continue to dig up on that story, of course, picking up from that conversation with Moses Wetangula that I had earlier on in the day on the woes that have befallen him from the party. We pick it up from there tomorrow on our standard